We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast.
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous. Bonjour et bienvenue au lycée célèbre. Le podcast dont l'introduction est parfois livrée en français. Let's get started.
Bon.
Je m'appelle Sean.
Je m'appelle Michel.
Me llamo Matt.
No. Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle. Comment
So, for those who don't speak...
This whole damn thing.
You don't want to do the whole thing in French?
For those who don't speak French, I said hello and welcome to High School Famous, the podcast whose introduction is sometimes delivered in French.
Gotcha.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Also known as one time delivered in French.
This is the first time it's been delivered that way. It could occur again in the future.
I mean, that is 100% up to you.
So,
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. I'm guest hosting tonight on your podcast. I'm also hosting live on TikTok and got a "Let's Go Brandon" comment on there. So we're gonna go ahead and just block David here because David's a douche. Bye, David.
Oh, you're to the point where you reject commenters. We welcome them all.
We very much so welcome them.
Whoever decides they want to talk to us.
I don't put up with political stuff that doesn't align with my political views.
That's
not true. I will engage. I will engage with somebody if they come at me in an honest way, and I have done that, but I will not. I just won't put up with people trolling. Although I should have let them keep commenting because it brings the peeps in, but.
Comments.
I also just don't like those people. Just don't like them. And you know what? Just say fuck Joe Biden. Just say it. I say it. I voted for the man, and I don't like him. So just say it. I don't care. By saying "Let's go, Brandon," you're not expressing a belief. You're trying to piss me off, and I just don't like engaging with that. As I sit here and engage with it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I also still have no idea what's going on.
Oh, "Let's go, Brandon" is just a euphemism for fuck Joe Biden. And everybody on the right thinks it just pisses everybody on the left off. And the only thing that pisses people off about it is that people are trying to piss people off. That's all that is. So.
Well, clearly, some of the members on the left side are ignorant, and it doesn't affect them because neither Matt or myself knew what was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just, like I say, if you want to express your views, go ahead. Just don't be a douche about it. That's all.
I thought David was an Incubus fan.
Might be. Where can I find your art? Corey, sorry, this is going to be a weird episode for you guys. Corey,
That's
hi.
Totally fine.
You can find my art. I have some for sale up at snoozemagoo.com. I may as well plug myself while I'm here. Snoozemagoo.com. My name's Michael Magoo. I sell lots of art and stuff.
You can also find his art as our logo for High School Famous.
I did
Correct.
do the art for High School Famous.
Is not.
I'm kind of just the go-to for all of our acquaintances. I've done all Josh's logos. Yeah. So
Corey, next time, please specify who you're addressing. I mean, you could have been asking about my art.
That's true. He could have been. I forget. You guys can see the comments too. Feel free to shoot these nerds some comments. By the way, I'll let you piss them off. I won't boot you for pissing them off.
What will you boot them if they don't piss us off?
I might. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no worries, man.
Sean, you and Mikey went somewhere together?
Yeah. So, not yesterday, but last Sunday, we went to a show that neither of us really knew exactly what to expect going into it. The event was merely called a screening of Dave Chappelle's untitled documentary. And this was at the Target Center. So all we really knew was that we were going to be watching a movie that Dave Chappelle made.
At the Target.
Okay.
At the Target Center. So, and we figured there'd be some sort of stand-up going on because it's a Dave Chappelle show.
Well, and it was what? It was $100 a ticket, so we figured it was going to be something more than just a movie.
There's no way it's just a film.
Right.
You're not spending $100 to watch a film. So we went there. Getting in there was a little hectic. We were walking outside and we saw a huge crowd of people in the Skyway, and we thought, I don't know what we thought about those guys, but turns out that ended up being part of the line we had to get in just to get into the Target Center and get checked in for our seats. So the line was basically almost out the door and into another building.
But it moved really fast.
It moved really fast, so I'll give them that. But, it's a typical, at least Chappelle comedy show and concert where they lock your phones up in those little bags and you can't take them out until there's an emergency you have to deal with or until the show's over. And
Emergency, I need to film this.
Yeah. No one's going to know this happened. So we got there, and then I forget the show was supposed to start. I forget if it was 7 or 7:30. I think it was 7:30.
No, it was supposed to start at 7, and it started at maybe 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah, sure. So it opens up with this comedian named Pink Fox, right, Mike? Is that who it was? Was that her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly what her jokes were. She was pretty funny, though.
They were mostly trans jokes. I mean, she was a trans woman, and a lot of jokes about her, loving to take other guys as girlfriends.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
but she was pretty funny.
Yeah. I leaned over to Mike when she was on, and I said, "This seems strategic because of the."
It was totally strategic. But to be fair, she had been opening for him since before that special ever came out.
You pointed that out, but the backlash he's currently getting from his most recent Netflix special. But anyway, she was pretty funny. And then, when you hear something announced and you know what it means, but you're like, it can't be that, right? Have you ever had that before where you like, so they said next up is the Roastmaster General.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then all of a sudden Jeff Ross comes out on stage.
Nice.
And he was Jeff Ross. He was just doing some stand-up about being in quarantine, and he rescued a couple dogs, and then it got kind of sentimental actually toward the end because he had to put one of his dogs down and stuff like that. But then he was going to come out a little bit later and do something else. So once his set was done, I'd say he was out for probably 20 minutes or 25 minutes or half an hour, something like that. And then
it was a pretty long set.
Yeah. I don't know if I hadn't heard of this next woman that came out, but she's in the sequel movie Coming to America.
Oh, is that what that was? Because we couldn't figure out who she was.
Yeah, they said because the original movie is called Coming to America, and the sequel is called Coming to America, but the 2 is just the number 2 in the sequel. So her name is Lunell. Her name is Lunell, Luenell, and
she was funny.
She was funny. A lot of her jokes were about, going to Jamaica and sleeping with Jamaican men and not wanting to end her vacation. And then she did a whole bit on My 600-Pound Life and how.
Well, because she's a rather robust woman herself, but she was saying how that show makes her feel real good about herself.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of jokes about drugs. She loves drugs. A lot. Oh yeah,
she talks about how she does a lot of drugs.
I'm pretty sure by the end, most of those people were at least drunk of that show.
Oh, drunk and high. They're probably all, yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a biased view about that, but not a lot of people smoke as much as I do. So, but yeah, so she was on and she was funny. Is that when Jeff came back and roasted the audience? Was that next? Yeah, so he pulled up a bunch of people and roasted them and they're all Minnesota folks, so they're easy picking. Right. The funniest joke was there's a really tall couple, and as he was kind of shooing them off the stage, he says to the wife, "Go back and go up on that man."
Yeah,
because he was so tall.
Nice.
He did pretty good with the roasting. Some of them were very easy targets.
Yeah.
And some of them you could tell they were just sort of more normal looking, and so he kind of pushed them off to the side and waited a little bit to do something to them, just because he was probably trying to think of something on the fly. But
Right.
Or waiting for an opportunity to come up or something.
yeah, I'd say,
I gotta say, some of the stuff he said was just quick and witty.
Oh, he was ripping into him pretty good.
Oh, like, what did he call that hippie dude? Something about like Cobain if like he hadn't.
He didn't. I think he said it was like
something like that.
Yeah, I think he said this is Kurt Cobain if he hadn't shot himself.
Yeah,
And I think he called him some kind of ski instructor or something, out of work ski instructor, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And there was this really tiny woman who I think was from Canada, maybe. She had a little flannel shirt on, and she had
oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
And he said he went to the older couple and said that they could use her as a dildo because of how small she is, or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The dude's pretty quick, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think he called up probably 12 or 13 people.
I don't remember how many people were up there, but it was a good line of them. I was surprised at how many people. He was like, come on. And then even another couple was in line. He's like, I didn't call you guys, but you seem to want to come up anyway, so come on.
Yep.
But so then is when the movie premiered, right? After that little bit.
Yeah, so he was like, hey, now we're going to watch this awesome movie that Dave made. He teamed up with so-and-so filmmaker and filmed all this stuff, and you're going to watch it, and it's going to be awesome. This is going to be a historic night, he said. And then after that, he said Dave's going to come out and do his spiel. Now,
as far as the documentary itself goes, there's not much to say about it. It was pretty interesting, because it went into... You know that special that he put out during COVID where he was like outside on this pavilion and everybody was kind of like sitting in a field? Did you ever see that, Matt?
No.
Well, he put out the special. It was right during COVID, right after George Floyd was killed. And that was all it was, as far as I knew, was just that one little special. But apparently he had been having like major celebrities out what were they doing it 3 nights a week out there or something like that? They were having a COVID bubble. So but I forget, was Josh Hamm there was one night, or John Hamm?
John Hamm. Yeah. So he had put on basically there was this little pavilion that this guy owned it's in his home. It's in Dave Chappelle's town that he lives in, Yellow Springs, Ohio.
Okay.
And so he had
pretty much like Monticello.
Yeah, he had wood folding chairs out in a field, kind of together, paired up 2 by 2, but they all have circles around them, so no one can enter each person's other space. And anyone that flew in to do the show got COVID tested right away, and so they were as safe as they possibly could be.
Right,
but either way, it was really interesting just to see it.
Yeah, he had
everybody. Chris Rock,
Erykah Badu, Kevin Hart came out, Jon Stewart came out, John Hamm was there for some of it, Tiffany Haddish, Melissa Wolf, Bill Burr, and then there was some poet guy that I didn't know because I don't follow poetry, but
that one very moving. That one made me tear up pretty bad.
And then there was they were cutting back and forth from the shows to a lot of footage of protests and stuff, all the George Floyd protests that were going on.
Right. It was pretty emotionally charged. It wasn't a funny. They of course played jokes, and the jokes were funny, of course, but it was not a funny movie. I will say, and this is a bit off topic, but my one real critique of the show itself was, if anybody is from Minnesota, or I'm sure it's pretty common in a lot of basketball stadiums or whatever you call it, but they have those 4 big screens that come down, Yeah. So that and they did not use those, and so the whole time I'm sitting there watching the movie like this. And then I keep on halfway through, I gotta start stretching my neck because my neck gets so stiff, And then all of a sudden I notice Sean, every time I do it, I notice Sean's going what? It's I'm sorry, man, my neck hurts.
Yeah.
I gotta keep because so we're watching the movie pretty much like this,
Yeah, I kept looking around to see if Mike noticed something that I didn't notice, but yeah, they had the one giant screen at the stage showing the movie. So everyone had to look that one direction. So if you were sitting, we were on one of the side sections. So if you're sitting there, you got to have your head turned to the right for like an hour and a half.
Right.
I think that's probably about how long the movie was. Maybe an hour. Maybe it felt longer because we had to sit there like that, but it's hard to say.
I want to say it had to have been at least an hour and a half.
Yeah, probably.
And of course, by the end of that, I'm having just Nick fits because every shot of Dave Chappelle, he's smoking a cigarette. And I'll tell you this about Dave Chappelle. I don't think he's a homophobe. Or not a homophobe, a transphobe. What I think he is he's a self-loathing smoker. He hates other smokers because he puts them in situations where he knows they can't smoke, but he can. So he's sitting there puffing away, and in his brain, I'm sure he's going, half these motherfuckers are sitting there going, God damn you, Dave Chappelle.
Well, I mean, I bet you he's probably thinking, look how famous and powerful I am. I can smoke.
Right, I can smoke wherever the fuck I want, yeah.
Yeah,
nobody bats an eyelash.
Yeah, the rules don't apply to me. So then I think when the movie was over, I think Jeff Ross might have come back out and introduced Dave Chappelle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Probably.
I think he did.
But then Dave came out, and I don't even really remember all that he talked about. He talked about the movie a little bit, and he talked about the experience. And one thing they made sure to point out in the end of the movie during some of the credits was that there were a few people during the whole process that ended up testing positive for COVID. And this was middle of the summer of 2020 when you didn't know what that meant. Like there was still so little known about it. And
yeah, that was actually one thing that was really kind of striking about the movie is it really made you remember how scary it kind of all was at first. Like, because nobody would, that was the one thing that kind of hit about that movie too, man.
Yeah. So it was a big reminder of just how much was unknown, was not known about how to treat it or what it means if you have it or what your odds are of surviving it.
But of course, the funniest part about it was how they kept on saying it's been 3 months, and me and Sean are just like looking at each other like, you guys have no fucking idea.
Yeah, like when Tiffany Haddish finished, because I think she did one of the earlier shows, and then she said it's been like 3 or 4 months since she's been in front of a crowd, and she started to cry and like thanked Dave and hugged him and stuff, like getting super emotional about not being in front of a crowd after a few months.
Right.
And it was just kind of one of those funny things. But
well, it was kind of like going back, like looking back at the beginning of COVID and everybody being like, when they were talking about doing lockdowns and they're like, oh, we might have to lock down for a couple weeks. And people are like, 2 weeks, I can't go do anything. And it's just like, no, we're going to lock down for months at a time. And it's like looking back at it now, it's like,
the thing of it is
that bad, but
if the lockdown had been a lot more strict than it was,
a
few weeks might have been all we really needed.
Oh yeah, if everybody would have just said, okay, let's do this, let's lock down, let's just stay indoors. Like because I don't know if you've ever really like looked at like worldwide stats and stuff like that, but watching how the U.S. just went crazy. If you look at it like on a graph, we just skyrocketed and everybody else stayed pretty like low or like leveled out. And I think I looked at it and it was like, I don't remember exactly how many cases there is. The US is, how many millions and millions of cases. But then you look back at like China where everything kind of started. It's like 150,000 confirmed cases in the entire coury.
Yeah.
And
their population is
the largest population. And they had about 150,000 somewhere close to that. I'm not sure the exact number. And then we're in like the how many dozens of millions,
To be fair, though, I take all official numbers with a grain of salt, even our own. But that's neither here nor there. But that's getting off topic. It was just really interesting to see.
To be brought back to that time.
It really was. But yeah, the movie wrapped up, and I can't say it was like very climactic at all, but it had very emotional parts to it.
The part I think the reason maybe that it wasn't climactic was because the way everything ended with it was very anticlimactic. So there was a part where because this guy's property that he had that had the pavilion, it was zoned for agriculture, right? So what these comedy shows are is not agriculture. So the zoning committee was actually on them, trying to say that if you keep doing these shows, it's against the law, and we'll start fining you, and we're going to shut down. They're trying to shut it down, and then they had to appeal to the board, and residents
get it rezoned is what they had to do.
They had to get like a temporary approval to use it for something other than agriculture. And members of the town had put in their testimonials, whether they liked the shows happening or they disliked the shows happening. And ultimately, they got approved to do continue putting on the shows.
The likes vastly outnumbered the dislikes. Because of course the movie started with, I hate this, this is bullshit, I can't sleep at night type shit, and then so they did a couple of those, and you're thinking, man, this isn't looking good, and I'm sure that's all by design, but then all of a sudden it's like, this is great, blah 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 blah, and I mean, they brought in
I haven't felt this good in months.
Yeah, it was like something like 5 million or something they brought into that community or something like that.
Yeah, they brought in tons of money to the city, but also, so they finally get the approval to keep going, and Dave had said at some point during one of the shows that this was like their 51st show. Like they had put on over 50 shows in this little area. And like at one point, Dave was just riffing on stage, and John Mayer was sitting behind him, and he was sort of playing guitar to go along with the jokes, like stuff like that. It was all over the place.
Right.
And but then all of a sudden there was a couple other people that got tested positive for COVID.
Couple of the mainstays that had been there from the beginning.
Mainstays that had been there for a while. So
which means like stopped. The bubble popped.
Yeah, and they just stopped doing shows. They just
erred on the side of caution, said, "This is it. Not going to do it."
Yeah, anymore. And so anyone who was coming to a show that was going to happen the night that they stopped got an email, of course, saying the show was canceled. But some people didn't get that or didn't notice it, so then they drived all the way to Ohio. And you saw them pull in to try to park, and they're like, "Oh, show's canceled," and so they had to drive home.
It was really sweet though, because the one person was like, "Oh, is Dave okay?" And they're like, "Yes, Dave's fine. Everybody's fine, but we're not going to be doing any more shows."
Yeah. So that could be why the movie was anticlimactic, was because the way the whole thing ended was anticlimactic. It just kind of
that's true. It just kind of like, all right, that's it.
But they made an effort to point out that everybody that tested positive fully recovered, and that there were no known audience members that ever got infected at any of the shows. They made a point to
at least not whether they got it at some other point, but never at a show.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
And then the following events, I would say, Mike, you could agree or not, were the highlight of the show, and I would say fulfilled one of my lifelong dreams.
Oh boy.
Because all of a sudden the movie is over and everyone's cheering, and then all of a sudden it looks like there's some musicians or like there's some instruments being set up in the back of the stage behind the screen. So the screen starts coming up, I think. No, the screen was still there. We just all of a sudden saw a drum kit, a keyboard, and guitars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave comes out and he starts doing a spiel about the movie and about Minneapolis and how he loves that we held the line. And
so I gotta tell our personal story at this point too. Sure. You're in my actual experience. So Dave comes out, and for one, the first thing Sean notices is the woman behind us pull out a phone and start recording the man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
And at this point, I can't concentrate because all I want is a cigarette. And I remember the days where everybody was smoking in those venues during the concert. And I said, fuck it. I lit up a cigarette right then and there. And Sean looks back at the woman behind us and is like, she I guess was like waving her hand in front of her face to like get the smoke out of her face. And I'm blowing smoke back towards her camera.
Yeah. And so we're like, if she says anything, we can sell somebody about how she's got a phone out and she's recording the show.
And I highly doubt anybody else cared. because
I doubt it. A couple people
I mean,
kind
at
of
that
looked
point,
around, but
we had been sitting there for almost 3 hours. at
yeah,
that-
and there were a few that person who was like had the phone out and was kind of doing this. She and her group, I think she was just with a guy. They ended up like walking away and like parking themselves somewhere else to get away from Mike. I think.
Okay.
Oh, was that what that was? That I was
I
fine
think-
with that.
No, because it was right when you were
had
doing
smoked
it.
3
she walked away.
cigarettes out of the throughout the rest of the concert. I smoked 3 cigarettes throughout the rest of it. So
You're just like,
Yeah.
fuck it. Nobody else around you gave a shit.
No one did anything.
Mm-mm.
So then Dave does his thing, and then he's mentioning that these are a bunch of musicians that are from all around the country, but now they live all in LA. But he said that they're in the industry. There are very few people that are like really real. Like there's a lot of phonies out there and fake
Right.
people and fake friends and fake this and fake that. But this next young star that's going to come out is one of the real ones, like one of the true, honest, good, real people out there in the entertainment world. And
Okay.
so we're like, oh, I thought he was describing the band, right? Like the
Right.
yeah, I
musicians
thought
that
it was like, I found this band. They're relatively unknown.
Yeah.
Check these guys out. They're really cool.
right.
So-
And then, yep.
Yeah, you just do it. Just go ahead.
Then, in giant letters on the screen, we see the name Justin Bieber.
Oh, good God.
The Biebs came out and did like 3 songs.
I'd say he did
You're
3 or 4
shitting
songs.
me.
So all of a sudden,
Mm-mm.
Mike and I look at each other and we're like, we just got tricked into a Justin Bieber concert.
We truly did.
And
To be fair, he was, I mean, I don't care for his music, but he did a good job.
he was good as far
Yeah.
as Justin Bieber goes. But I compared it to a few years ago. Apple had brought U2 out on stage, and U2 was announcing that their new album was coming out, and they were going
Right.
to in order to break a record for the most downloads of a single album on one day, they just forced it onto everybody's phones and iPods for free.
Yep.
I remember
what I-
waking up to it on my iPhone, and I was like, "What?"
It
Yeah.
pissed off. I think it pissed off more people than anything.
So
It was
that's
a
what I compared.
Big failure.
That's what I compared this to, and I was like, "Wow,
Being forced into a Bieber concert.
yeah." So then he's doing his few songs and he's dancing around and whatever, and all of a sudden some other guy comes out and joins him in a song
For his last
And-
song, yeah.
for his last song, and I'm like, "Is that Usher?" Because I just saw his face on the screen at first, and then the name. They finished the song, and then the name changed from Justin Bieber to Usher, and now we're in the middle of a mini Usher concert.
So I didn't realize that they were friends again because I think they
And-
had a huge falling out.
Oh,
So-
I had
and
no
I-
idea about that.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even put it together until earlier today. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't Usher the one who kind of
Yeah,
brought
Usher
Justin Bieber into the
discovered
fold?
him. Yeah, Usher discovered Justin Bieber on YouTube, and then I thought they
Oh,
had like
that's
a
right.
big-
That's right.
Yeah, I thought they had like a big falling out because Justin Bieber got too big for his britches.
Well, maybe he came down a peg or two. I don't know.
Maybe.
I never thought I would see a Justin Bieber and Usher concert, but I have to say, I enjoyed it. Especially Usher. Usher is an amazing singer.
Oh, I'm sure I
Holy
would have
buckets.
enjoyed the Usher part probably.
It was
but yeah.
really good. Like, he
Bieber
didn't
part,
play
yeah,
any
for-
songs that I knew because I know very few Usher songs, and all of the ones I know are from like the early 2000s, maybe, you know? But
Yeah.
other than that, like, I mean, he was really good. And then, at that point, is that when Dave came back out? When,
yeah.
oh,
so
he was
Usher
sitting there. He was
Yeah,
sitting
so
on the
here's-
side of the stage with Bieber.
Yeah, so there's all the musicians were on risers behind Usher, and then so then all of a sudden Dave, while Usher was performing, Dave just kind of came out and sat on the riser in front of the keyboard player on the right, and then Justin came out and sat next to him, and they were just kind of hanging out there watching Usher perform.
Hmm.
And then so Usher finished his songs, and then Dave just kind of got up and he started kind of trying to get the musicians to play a beat, but he just wanted the bass player to do something for a while, and then
He was pretty particular. I think he was
Yeah.
getting annoyed with some people. Did you say anything
seemed
about
like
the
it.
harmonica player? I forgot about that.
oh no, I forgot about
He had
that
like
guy,
the
actually.
world's best harmonica player out there, which, to be fair, he was a really good harmonica player. But
But all,
how big of a star can a harmonica player get?
Well, the whole time he was up there, I was thinking about the guy from Blues Traveler. And I'm like, I bet you this guy could school him a little bit. I forget the guy's
he was
name.
good.
He was good. He was really good.
This guy was better than John Popper, or John Popper's better than this guy.
I would imagine that John Popper could take him to school, but they maybe just have different styles.
I've never seen John Popper live, which is really how you should gauge something like that.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, that's true. So Dave is trying to do. He's basically trying to get up and do some songs himself. So he's got the drummer.
Not a great singer, but definitely confident.
Yeah, even
good on him.
He
knew his wheelhouse, but he played it well, and he could keep a beat, and he can rap all right. So
and then at one point he was doing a Prince song, "Party Like It's 1999," and then so he was trying to get, as he was kind of doing this, he was trying to get Usher and Justin to like come up and join up with him,
right? And
Usher came up every once in a while and was singing along with Dave and doing things. And then they called the harmonica guy back out and he was playing some stuff. And at one point the guy was getting a little crazy and Dave was like, "Hey, take it down, harmonica guy." Let's keep this simple here. So, but whenever he would call Justin up, Justin wouldn't get up. He was just sitting there on his little stoop, not doing anything.
Yep. He was just kind of sitting there nodding his head.
Yeah. And the time that Justin did get back up to do anything, it was just to sing one of his own songs.
Yeah.
So it was, he sang one more song, and it was one of his songs. So it was just really, I don't know. I never thought I'd see a Justin Bieber concert, that's for sure. Having seen one, I'm all right with it. I still don't, I don't know. I still can't get behind the Biebs.
Well, I still think he's a giant douchebag. Oh, so I see what's happening. Okay.
Yeah. I will agree that he's a giant douchebag, having never seen him live.
Yeah. So then that went for a little while. There was just sort of this free form, like riffing with songs and stuff. And then Dave was trying to get everyone in the crowd to sing a certain part, like, to join in with the Prince song. And then there was another one. He's like, "All right, here's for all the white people." And it was like, what is it, Journey or something?
Don't Stop Believing, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, no. Lil Diddy.
No.
About Jack and Diane.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Two American kids growing up in the heartland. Whoever that is.
Yeah. Is that a Mellencamp song or something?
Yeah. John Cougar Mellencamp.
Yeah. So that was a little funny. But then there was so during the show, the next row below us, there was a group of, I want to say, like 5 people. I think it was like 3 girls and 2 dudes or something. And they just seemed to keep, like, they would get up and kind of shuffle themselves around throughout the show. They would just switch their seats around for whatever reason. But
right in front of us?
Yeah, remember that dude at the end?
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah, so I'll get to what he did.
Oh, yeah.
So the show, like, the song portion's over. Everyone's, like, cheering and like, "Oh, Justin and Usher, thanks so much, blah, 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 blah." You see kind of Jeff Ross and that Lunel woman and the Pink Fox just kind of chilling in the back, watching things happen. And then Dave gets into this whole really heartfelt spiel about Minneapolis and the whole George Floyd thing and how we held the line and we didn't give up. And we, the whole, he was really pouring his heart out and saying how much he will forever love Minneapolis.
Yeah, it was, again, one of those choke up moments.
Right. Like you could tell he was really sincere and really meant everything he was saying. And, one of the big things with George Floyd was people would yell, "Say his name," and people would say George Floyd.
Yeah.
So he had everyone do that. And so every time Dave said, "Say his name," we all yelled George Floyd, except, and there could have been other people in the place that were also doing this, not within earshot of us, but this was the target center. And Mike, you'll have to help me remember what he was saying, but
Justin Bieber.
That's right. Oh my God, that's even worse. So
he
every
kept saying
time,
Justin Bieber.
In this giant moment with this whole crowd of people in Minneapolis, everyone's yelling George Floyd.
Joke.
And this guy's yelling Justin Bieber every time Dave says, "Say his name." And it's like, it was one of those moments where people around just kind of look down at him. And even the people with him are looking at him like, "What?"
Oh, his girlfriend got him out there. Got him out of there.
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
Oh,
but
really?
he didn't pick up on it. He kept doing it because I think it went on like
He was wasted.
it was like 6 or 7, 8 times that he had us yell George Floyd, and every single time this guy's like Justin Bieber, and he's like, "That's the guy, right?" And he's looking around, and nobody,
Like,
everyone,
I'm funny, right?
everyone is shooting him daggers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at a place full of professional comedians. I'm the funny guy, though, right?
Yeah, and so I wanted to.
Me off so bad because it's just that all they want is attention.
It's
And
fine
it's like-
it's fine if it's at the appropriate moment.
Yeah,
No,
but
and
that
if
was
it's
like
and if it's actually funny.
Right.
Even
That was
even
a
if it's
to-
not, it's fine because then people can just rib on them, and that's fun.
Yeah.
But
That was a
just
total. That was a
that was
total. You need to
gross.
read the room, and you need to understand what this moment is, and not be a total asshole right now. But
Yeah.
he just didn't get it. And then I wanted to say to his girlfriend was with him, obviously, and I just wanted to say to her, well, if you two are in the same kind of mindset as each other, then sadly you're meant for each other. But if not, I hope you guys aren't together for long. Because if this is the kind of guy this guy is, I hope you realize that you can do better.
Right.
But she was your
Say to her,
typically
I hope you find yourself a good man.
yeah. But she was your classic sort of hot woman, and then he was this sort of jacked guy who was obviously a regular at the gym, and so she's probably typically attracted to douchebags like that.
Yeah.
dude,
So
I'm sure she has really high self-esteem.
Probably.
one punch or one shove, and that guy would have been
down.
tackled. He would have been mobbed.
Oh, yeah.
He was in such a bad position to be cracking a joke.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like
That was a bad judgment of
and the
timing
funny
and-
thing is it's not like it's a particularly offensive joke. It's just an offensive moment to
Yeah.
be making a joke. Like
oh yeah.
I don't think
And
he was trying to be a dick. He was just drunk
No.
and stupid.
Well, on top of it, he's a white dude,
Yeah.
in this very like empowering moments for black people and basically non-white people.
I do. Yeah, I gotta say it was a pretty diverse mix. Like I was kind of expecting it to kind of be white heavy, and it didn't seem to be.
The crowd?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Dave is one of those stars that his fan base is just all across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I think he was pretty tuned in by the end though, because he got kind of overly sappy with somebody in the audience at one point who he knew, and then I don't know.
Oh, that's right. It was
when just his particulars with like how he wanted the music to go is like, Dave, like chill out, just let the music vibe. But he wasn't having it. He wanted to orchestrate. Like he had an idea in his mind and he wanted it done that way. And it was weird. That's a side of it. Because I had never seen Dave live, so Dave Chappelle live. So I have only seen things that have been curated for people to see, if that makes sense,
yeah.
So to see him be a real person and to be kind of drunk and be like, oh, okay, so he's not just sitting there throwing back beers, drinking, smoking cigarettes and acting normal all the time. That's good.
Yeah. No, because what was it? Prince's assistant was there that he knew really well.
Yeah.
And he said that some members of George Floyd's family were in the audience, and a couple other people that had been who had family members who were victims of recent shootings were also in the audience, and so he mentioned them for a little bit. And he
Now,
told
was
some
this
Prince.
I'm sorry. Was this the premiere?
I don't know. I know that there's because I looked it up to see if he was doing other shows. He's got other shows he's doing this with, so I don't know if we were the first one or not.
It sounded like we were.
It sounded like
it sounded like they started it in Minneapolis, but I don't know. I can't think of what exactly gave me that impression.
Well, because like Jeff Ross would go on about how this is such a historic night, and considering the fact that there was so much of it involving George Floyd, I would not be surprised if this was the kicker for this little tour he's doing,
which is pretty cool. I think that's cool.
I think if anything, if it wasn't going to be like Minneapolis where it started off, it would have been his hometown, and then
that's why I was kind of surprised that. Although maybe he had like a private screening at the gazebo or the pavilion.
Oh, I'm sure he had. I'm sure we're not the first people to ever.
No, I know we're not the first viewers, but like the first public viewers.
Yeah, we could have been.
Yeah.
I should. I mean, you can look it up.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to tell that kind of thing. If only we had access to
All right.
all
We
human.
don't need to do that. We don't need to do that stupid comment every time.
I still do have to do it because I'm a geriatric millennial, and I think it's funny.
We're older
Because
than you.
you're also geriatric millennials.
Yeah, but I don't do that.
Yeah, but you're funnier than I am.
I have my days.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, he does have his days.
Hey, you can't. Sometimes you can only be on 95% of the time.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was it. That was the show. And,
Interesting.
to go into it with only knowing that it was going to be a screening of a movie and to have that be what it ended up being.
Yeah.
Was, I mean, and the thing is, I'm not a Justin Bieber fan. I'm not an Usher fan. But it's still cool to be able to say, hey, you know,
it was actually really cool.
Of all the unlikely places I found myself in, or situations I found myself, or I could find myself in, now I can say I've been to a Justin Bieber and Usher concert. Just like when Al and Josh and I, a couple years ago, went to an X Games, and then we went to a show at the Armory afterward, and it was Wu-Tang.
That's awesome.
I was never gonna like knowingly find myself going to a Wu-Tang concert, but now I've been to a Wu-Tang concert, and I'm not gonna fight stuff like this. I'm just gonna enjoy it. I can add it to a list of experiences.
So you did look up comparable tickets to a Justin Bieber concert afterwards, and remember how much those tickets were?
I don't, but I want to guess that the minimum was somewhere around $185 or something.
The nosebleeds were $200. Where we were sitting in a comparable arena, $500.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
And the funny part was
$500.
The funny part. These tickets were $100 a piece, and we got Jeff Ross, we got Pink Fox, Lunel, we got Justin Bieber and Usher and Dave Chappelle. A movie. But while we were in line, there's a poster because in May of next year, Justin Bieber's doing a show at the Target Center. And of course, we were making fun of him and talking about how that guy sucks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And
I actually remember thinking, I'm glad I'm here to see Dave Chappelle and not Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And of course, I wouldn't have thought that if the poster hadn't been there. But yeah, it was. We were standing right by the poster for a good 5 minutes. So.
Yeah,
he was like, "Fuck this guy! If I ever see him in person, I'm gonna fucking rip his head off." And
right, we're going to see somebody who would never associate with such trash.
But yeah.
I do think it's a little peculiar that he was just really harping on calling Justin Bieber like one of the good, real, honest, decent people in entertainment.
Right.
I was
he probably hung out with them and had a good time, you know?
Well, it could be. Or it could be like, this is someone who's still willing to be seen with me. They can. I mean, he's married now.
Well, and think about it. Think about like you before you were 26 versus after. You know what I mean?
I suppose you have to think about the fact that Justin Bieber was so young when he just became insanely rich and famous.
Yeah.
He could get away with being a giant douchebag because no one around him is going to tell him no.
Exactly. So that's the thing.
Until they do.
You just surround yourself with a bunch of yes men, and then you can get away with being a complete piece of shit. So
yeah, so he was kind of conditioned to end up being that way. You can still make your own choice to not be that way, but
yeah,
if you can,
well, and hopefully he's done so. Who knows?
Hopefully,
but you're still charging $500 a ticket for really shitty seats because it's not like we had great seats. I mean, they were fine, but
that's another thing, though. If people will pay that, why not charge it? He knows people will pay that much to see him, so why would you? If you're someone who is all about just becoming more rich, you're going to charge as much as you can, knowing that people are going to pay that much. You're not going to go, well, that sucks. Let's make this nice and affordable for anyone who wants to come see me.
Yeah, I suppose that's because I just think about it and I'm like, well, you know, I could be selling my paintings for way more than I do, but that's not really my goal.
Well, maybe that's not what. Maybe that's why
out with the people who want them. You know,
maybe that's why you're not at Justin Bieber level.
Oh, or at a livable income level.
Yeah. But there eventually Justin Bieber will be, performing at Mystic Lake Hotel and Casino for $30 a seat. That's going to happen to him someday.
We should go see him when that happens.
We should. We will be.
We should go see him. We should wear Dave Chappelle shirts.
have to
That would
buy
be
a
awesome.
Chappelle shirt.
Does Dave Chappelle have shirts?
I'm sure.
Yeah, he has that C logo on
Oh, I bet
merchandise.
you can find that on something. Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Have you guys watched the Loki show?
No.
I've been waiting to watch it with the missus, and it hasn't been happening. So I almost watched it yesterday, but I have not.
Okay. I don't know if you like it or not, but I wanted to point out there's so Owen Wilson is in the show. His character's name is Mobius, and he goes in this little spiel for one episode where he likes jet skis. And so I saw a guy on YouTube wearing a shirt of Mobius on a jet ski, and it says like in splashy water letters it says Mobius or something. And so I really want to get but then I tried to look it up to find the exact shirt that he was wearing, and there are tons of them. Tons of people have made this Mobius on a jet ski shirt in various versions. So I'm gonna end up finding one and ordering one. And I thought that was a pretty funny shirt. I guess if you're in the know, you would appreciate it. But anyone else, if you haven't watched the show, it means nothing to you.
It's true. No clue.
Or just nothing to you yet.
Yeah. So of the times I've seen Dave Chappelle, this was the most interesting. The others were just stand-up shows. Nothing.
He did go past curfew.
Yeah, the show ended up getting out around 11:30, so I think it was 4 hours that we were there.
Jesus. That's long.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of show.
Yep.
But the Uber on the way there was 17, and we got out and looked it up, and it was 50 on the way back.
Oof.
It started off that way. Then we were trying to wait it out, and then it creeped up to about $70 at one point. So Mike and I just kind of went for a walk. Like, well, we're in no hurry. Let's just walk around until it dies down. I think I ended up giving up when it was at about $36 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Still.
But yeah, all in all, it was an awesome show.
Cool. Good times to be had by all.
Let the good times roll.
Indeed.
Yes, Grizzbox. Oh, wait, is that what you said earlier, Mike, when you wrote it is?
Yeah, that was, he put that up a while ago.
That was a long time ago.
Well, I knew the comment was there a long time ago, and I didn't notice it when you put up it is on the piece of paper, so I thought you were signaling to us something, and I'm like, I don't know what this means.
I get
it.
He's a TikTok friend of mine. So
yeah. He once you pointed us out to him. I think he's followed us, and I think he commented on a video or two.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he's a funny guy. Because I invited him to come onto your show, and he said he wasn't into it at the time, but he might be now. I don't know.
Who knows?
But I'm not. I'll let him decide. Yeah.
Indeed.
That's very considerate of you.
Well,
this has been High School Famous.
Yeah, it has.
And anybody else watching who hasn't seen or listened to High School Famous, go ahead and get High School Famous wherever you get your podcasts, and hop on over to HS Famous Pod and give them a follow. Thank you guys for being on Snooze Magoo Live.
We've got this will be the 53rd episode, so we've got a nice little backlog that you can surf through if you're interested.
Yes, indeed.
And despite the lack of requests, we plan to keep making more.
Yep,
they do.
Well, bye.
Goodbye. I mean, au revoir.
We are on TikTok now, which makes us even cooler. HS Famous. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HS Famous Pod. Email us directly at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. We have Patreon too, but you'll never go there. Altogether, our hearts beat as one.